From the cleanest, most successful nationwide elections organized by Lieutenant Colonel Besigye in 1989 to the multi-party LC polls under EC Chairman Simon Byabakama of 2018, New Vision TV takes you through Uganda's local council's election journey and why the country has gone for 17 years since the last ones were held. At first, the National Resistance Army was a small mobile force that used to hit government targets and move on. But with time, it became big and started holding territories in the liberated areas of Uganda. Setting up administrative structures, the liberated people held Resistance Council (RC) elections. When the whole country was liberated, RC elections were held in 1987, but the first major nationwide elections held on one day were held in February 1989 under the organization and supervision of Dr. Besigye, who was the National Political Commissar and State Minister in President Museveni's office. After the RC1 elections, the National Political Commissar and Minister of State in the President's office, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Besigye, and the Minister of Local Government, Major Amanya Mushega, went to the national broadcaster, Uganda Television, to give an account to the nation. Dr. Besigye announced the overwhelming success as measured by the nearly 100% turnout of Ugandans to vote.
In the whole country, the election was very, very successful because the turnout was excellent in all parts of the country. The population responded very resoundingly. Everybody turned up, including the sick at some polling stations. They would try to find the means of going to these polling stations to go and vote for members of their choice. And the population was quite happy because from the reports we have received and from my own things that I saw at the day of election, because I moved around in Kampala, people were very, very excited and happy, saying they have never seen such a free and fair election, contrary to some of the comments that were being said by some of our friends. So the election was quite successful in that respect, that people really turned out in great numbers. In some areas it was over 95% turn up. And in the areas which were poorly attended, you at least found about 70% of the members of RC1 turning up. And definitely on RC1 to RC2 elections, we had 100% turn up because people did not have to go home and come back the following day. They stayed around and they voted, all of them. Therefore, for that particular election, there was 100% turn up. Therefore, the election to that extent was quite successful.
After the successful RC elections of February 1989, the councils proceeded to elect constituency representatives to the expanded National Resistance Council, joining the original 30 historical members from the Bush War. This was Uganda's 5th parliament. The Speaker, simply called Vice Chairman, was Haji Moses Chigongo. The chairman was still the NRM chairman, President Yoweri Museveni. The 5th Parliament brought in new faces who are now at the helm of national affairs, like Speaker Rebecca Kadaga and former Vice President Dr. Specioza Wandira Kazibwe. These were the last elections Besigye organized and were billed the cleanest, without a single result being challenged in court. The NRC under Haji Chigongo enacted the transitional laws for the writing of the new constitution, creation of the Interim Electoral Commission and election of the Constituent Assembly and promulgation of the Constitution. The next RC elections were held quietly in 1992 under National Political Commissar Eria Kategaya. The Constituent Assembly elections held early 1994 were organized and managed managed by the interim EC of Chairman Stephen Akabwai. After the CA, chaired by James Wapakabulo, enacted the Constitution, which promulgated of the Constitution of 1995, it was first the presidential elections of 1996 that saw Dr. Paul Semwogerere challenging President Yoweri Museveni, then the parliamentary elections that were held on a different day that year. In the next LC elections, the name RC ended with the new constitution were held in 1997. The following and until now last LC elections were held in 2001. This time, the former NPC Besigye had left the National Resistance Movement and stood against President Museveni for president. The following LC polls should have been in 2006, but a referendum in 2005 had changed the political system from movement to multi-party dispensation. A petition by Major Baramira Ranga, then an FDC strongman, led to the cancellation of the LC elections. Since then, other petitions have, and budgetary constraints have prevented the holding of the polls. That is why the country has gone for 17 years since the last ones were held. This year's elections have been held under the stewardship of Justice Simon Byabakama, the EC chairman. Will the next ones be held on time? This waits to be seen.